everybody, I'm Corinne Blackstone and welcome to my craft room. I'm so excited to have you here. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use this awesome website called Kittl. What is Kittl, you're asking? It is a really fun place where you can make your own designs using their templates or AI to create fun things that you can cut with your Cricut. I'm going to show you how I made this little cool shirt for the 4th of July using their website. I promise it is super easy. We're going to start off real easy so that you can kind of get familiar with the site and how to use it, and we're going to show you a few more things coming up in the coming weeks. I'm super excited to partner with them on this video, and I really think that you're going to enjoy it. I will link them down below along with a coupon code so that you can save if you want to sign up for Kittl. We're going to be using some HTV and doing some layering as well, which I'll share some tips about with you. So without further ado, let's get started.
First thing you'll do is navigate to kittl.com. It's K-I-T-T-L. And what I'm going to do here is show you how easy it is to make a really fun kind of personalized SVG design in just a couple of minutes, because I know sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming if you're not used to working with SVGs and you want to make something for yourself. Now, here on their homepage, you can find all sorts of helpful little tools. But what I like to do is I'm going to scroll down a little bit, and I always like to look at the trending now because that's usually got some really great stuff in it. But you can also go down and you'll see that they've got all sorts of different things here, prompt packs, all-in-one things. What we're going to be looking for is kind of more in like the t-shirt, hoodie, hat design section. So you can see as we go down, we've got hats and bags. But what I want to use is this design right here. This is trending. It's really, really cute. And it's going to be a really easy one for you guys to start with when you're learning how to work with Kittl. Kittl's a lot easier than you really think that it is. I know it looks a little more complicated, but I promise you, I'm going to make this real simple. So what you're going to do is use template, and it's going to open up a new tab for you, and it's going to open up that template, which we are going to change up and make it a little bit more us. Now, I do like the general vibe of the image, but for me, it's not quite what I want to go for. There's some things I want to change. There's some wording I want to change. So we're going to just make it very much more us. Now, the first thing that I like to do when I'm working with anything in Kittl is I want to make sure that that background doesn't exist. So there are a few ways to do it, but honestly, I find one of the easiest ways is if you go over here to project colors, the color of your background, you'll see you can actually make it fully transparent. And then you see you have all those little dots. That means it's transparent. What I like about that is because I can always bring the background back in if I want to use it again. It's just a quick, easy way to kind of get rid of the background so that it's just not there. Now, we could cut this as is and it would be fine, but for me, I just want to change it up a bit. I want it to be a little bit different. And because this is going to be the celebration of the 250th year, we're going to make this a little bit more geared towards that. Now, just like when you're working with any other program with fonts and text and things, you can just click on your text and you can edit it in a ton of different ways. But you can also move it around your screen. So for this one, I'm going to just get this out of the way really quick, just for a few minutes while we mess with the 1776. I don't necessarily love the font. I want my font to be a little smoother, maybe a little more like, I don't know. I'm not sure yet, which is okay. Because with Kittl, you can literally just go here and scroll through all of their fonts. So you can find things that are a little fancier, maybe I don't know, a little stranger, but you can find all sorts of fonts to work with in here, and you can literally just kind of hover over it and it changes it so that you can see what it looks like. You can also favorite any that you really, really like that maybe you want to use again. So I love that, but I'm going to scroll through and kind of find one that I think lends itself to the look that I'm going for. Now, I do want something a little bit thicker because I do still want to have that America over top of it, but I'm going to go ahead and just find something that's maybe a little bit more the style. Now, I love this. This gives me like Declaration of Independence vibes, which I think is kind of cool. So I am going to give this one a heart just because I might come back to it. But I'm going to scroll through and see what I can find. The other thing is too, you can search fonts, or you can also like kind of just use this little filter up here. You've got serif, you've got sans serif, slab serif. You've got all sorts of different font ways that you can choose from. So if you're looking for something, Chunk 5 is one of my favorites for a lot of things. It's a great little font. Now you'll notice that it does wrap your font. We'll address that in a second. So let me find a font that I like, and then I'll show you what our next step is. I'm going to go with this Anton one, which might look a little familiar because it is the font that I use on a lot of my thumbnails. So you'll notice here that it's got the 7, 7, and then the 6 down here. Just expand your box out and you can fit that back in. It's just kind of a warping tool or a wrapping tool. And I just kind of moved it so that it fit. Now, if I want to change the font for the America, I can do that too. I'm not sure if I want to, but I definitely can look into that. And I love that, again, I can kind of go through, I can look at just the script fonts. So if I want to change it to like Alex Brush is a really pretty one, Burstone. There's a lot of really pretty options that you can choose from in here. There's a lot of ways that you can do this. And again, you'll see that it's wrapping a little bit. We'll fix that in a second. But I'm going to find a different font just because that one, I didn't love the E in it. It was a little too squished. So let me find a different font and we will work with that. I found this Sunflowers, and I think this one's really, really cute. Now we are going to need to adjust our font a little bit. Again, I need to expand that box so that it all fits within. And you'll notice that these letters, I'm going to move this a little bit. You see how they're kind of overlapping too much? That's okay. That can happen. What you can do is over here, you see this little AV with the line? That is your letter spacing. So you want to kind of space it out a little bit more. It defaulted to whatever the letter spacing was for that previous font. So you just sort of figure out where it's going to go. So I've got it at 3, but I think maybe I want to try it at like 2.5 just to see if it's just a little bit better. Perfect. I think that 2 is actually really, really good. Now, again, you'll notice that the A not fitting. We'll just expand it again to fit the A. And then you size it back down so that it fits within your design. Now, the colors on here don't necessarily matter because just like when you're doing this with Design Space, when you take this over to Cricut, you can put whatever color vinyl you want onto your mat to cut it. But I do think it looks kind of pretty, but I will show you how to change the color because it is so simple. Right here, where you see text colors, you can just click on this and maybe you want a brighter blue. Maybe you don't want it blue. Maybe you're going to make it, I don't know, yellow. Maybe you want to make it white. Maybe you're going to make it black. Whatever the case may be, you can do the color down here and just change it to whatever you want it to look like. It's a great way to mock it up. It's really fun to use this little color slider. It's fun to play around with it and see what colors you can make and just get a good vibe for the way you want it to look. So now that I've got that set, I do want to change this bottom text, but you'll notice that it's only grabbing that 1776, which is super annoying. If it's doing that, just take the little box and shorten it, and then you can grab your base text. We'll do celebrate 250 years. Now, again, not loving that font. It's just not quite what I want it to look like. I would prefer a little smoother font, something a little easier to cut. So again, just change it. That's what's great about this. They do have an adventurer one that is a little smoother. Still not quite what I want. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll and find one that I like. I think I'll stick with Anton for it just because I don't want to use too many different fonts. Now, because these are numbers, we could definitely do something different. But since I have numbers down here too, I don't want to mess with it too much. Now, just to show you kind of when we do the SVG, I'm going to go ahead and make another color here for the 250 years. And when you're changing the color, you want to make sure that you have the font fully highlighted and then change the color. I didn't do that. So that's something you want to keep in mind. And then I'm just going to change it just again so that you can see the SVG and the way that it works and the way that it really translates over to Cricut. This is such an easy way to do this. Now there's lots of things that you can play with. There's transform, which like you can do a circle, you can do distortings, custom, wigglings, all the things, arches, rises, flags. So many ways to do this. And actually the flag's kind of cute. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of don't hate that. And what else is really fun about this is you can adjust this using all of these little adjustments here, and you can kind of adjust the way that it waves. Now, if you don't want that, just hit reset and just turn your little transformation off. You don't have to use it, but there's lots of things you can do. There's also text shadows and things that you can add to this. There are text decorations, which are like the different textures. So you can do like horizontal lines, color cuts. You can do, these are like, if you were going to do etching or engraving, you could use that. So there's lots of things that you can do here to work with this and change it up and make it any way you want it. Now, another tool that I really love here is I'm going to select everything on my screen, and up here at the top is the alignment tool. I'm just going to center everything. You definitely don't need to do that because you can just center them when you put them on your blank. It won't matter since they're all different colors. If they were the same color, we would be a little more concerned. Now, from here, all you simply need to do is this little dot thingy. I don't know what to call that. I guess an arrow and a block. Click on that, and it's going to ask you to export this. Now, what we're going to do, I always just double check my pixels. I do want it to be a pretty good pixels, but with this, what you want to do is choose SVG. And then you can just keep the color as RBG. And then I always just do remove background just to cover myself and make sure that that background isn't there. But like I said, we got rid of it by just turning it transparent, but I like to keep it in case I want to look at it and see it with a color behind it. Then simply click export. What it's going to do is ask you where you want to save this. Now, I'm going to save this over the file that I already made because I did test this to make sure I liked the file. And I'm going to click yes just to save it. We're going to head over to Cricut Design Space, and I'll show you how easy it is to upload. Here in Cricut Design Space, you'll go to your upload page, and you're going to click Upload Image, and then you want to browse for it or drag and drop your file. Here in my Kittl folder, I'm going to choose my 1776 SVG, and you'll see here, now it is going to look a little blurry. That's just a Cricut thing. You can completely just ignore it. Go ahead and click continue, and then this is where you can add the image name and tags, anything you want to do there, and then simply click upload. Now it's going to put this right into your canvas. It is going to be huge, but don't worry, that's totally normal. Go ahead and size it down. I'm just going to go to like 9.5, not 95, not 95. No. We'll do 9.5 inches. Now, this is one thing that is a little bit different that you need to know if you're working with Kittl and with Cricut. Kittl sees each item as its own layer, including each of the letters for your design. Now, it does send it to your Cricut grouped. So you can see here I have my group. What I want to do first is I'm going to ungroup this so that I have these separate groups. That way I can pull them apart so that you can see them. So the first one is America. We have Celebrate 250 Years, and then we have the 1776. Now, if I was to hit Make from here, let me go ahead and save this. And again, I'll just save it as 1776 and click Save. What's going to happen is when you look at it on this next screen, it is going to be a mess. And that's fine. It's going to be a little bit screwy. Now, I will say we do end up with this, and I'm not sure where that came from. But if you have it, you can literally just ignore it. And I'll show you how to get rid of it here in a second. But you can see you have America, but look at how it's all messed up. Then you have this, and I don't know what the heck that's supposed to say. And then you've got 6177. So definitely not the way you want that to be. So I'm going to hit cancel. And what I want to do is I'm going to open up each group. Now, again, we've got this extra piece. So hold on and let's ungroup this really quick. I'm going to grab this guy and I'm going to see if it'll let me just pull him out. Now, my best guess is there must have been a shadow on the text before we started working with it. And I just didn't notice it in the Kittl design, but that's okay. You can honestly just delete this. We don't need it. But now what you want to do is with this wording here, you want to make sure that you unite it because it does have cut lines. And because this isn't text to Cricut Design Space, this is an SVG, it doesn't see it as one path. It sees each letter as its own path. So you want to go down to combine and you want to use the unite option. Then you want to do the same thing for each of your other layers. You can use attach or you can use unite, whichever one works best for you. But with the text down here that's all overlapping, you want to make sure that you use unite because that gets rid of any of the overlapping cut lines so that it all cuts as one piece. Now I'll just kind of place it back together again so you can see what it's going to look like. And I'm not going to cut this in pink. I'm not sure. I might do like white. I'll see what color shirt I put it on. But I'm going to go ahead and just select everything. I'm going to go to align. I'm going to center it just so I can see what it looks like. And that looks really cute. I think that's perfect. So since I made changes, I'm going to click save and make sure to save all those changes that I just did to my file. And then what I'm going to do is simply click make. Now what you'll see is it says America, you've got your celebrate 250 years, and your 1776 all in place. So working with Kittl and Cricut is super easy. You can make so many fun, cute designs. Now let's go ahead, cut this out, and press it to something so you can really get the idea of what this is going to look like.
We're ready to cut out the HTV to use for our 1776 design. I'm going to cut this down because I don't need this and it won't fit the way I need it to fit to fill the space. So I'm just going to cut this down a little bit. This is just a scrap. And these kinds of designs where they're not like full shirts and they're just pieces of the shirt are perfect to use for these kinds of designs. I'm cutting this on the everyday iron-on setting, and then I'm gonna cut the next two colors. We'll get everything weeded, and then I'll show you how to layer your Kittl design onto a shirt. I want to use this really fun ringer style t-shirt that I got from Shirt Space. I will link it down below. These are so cute, so comfy, and I think they're just kind of a fun like retro. Now I've lined everything up for the most part here on my little shirt just so I could see what it looked like and if I liked the design against the color, which I do. Now I'm going to start pressing with the 1776, and since this is layered, we just need to press this in a couple of layers. Now I'm going to assume that the center of our design is between the 7s, but I always just double check because you see it actually is not. It's just a little bit into that 7. I just fold it in half and find center. You go about 3 fingers down from your collar, and then I just center it based on the sleeves. And I do this using my hands, so I can kind of tell that it's too far this way just because my hands are not exactly the same. And sometimes I'll use the collar just to kind of get an idea, and I especially want to make sure that it is straight up and down. I think that looks pretty good. I'll hold the shirt up and look at it. Now here's the thing. If it's not 100%, million percent level, is anyone going to notice? No. Now, if you've got it really like cocked like that, sure, it'll be noticeable. But if it's just a little off, nobody's going to notice. And you know why? Because it's going to be on your body, and nobody's body is 100% symmetrical. So this is not something that I think that people should stress about quite as much as I see them doing it and like panicking that it's not like 100% perfect. I think this looks pretty dang good, so we're going with this. We're gonna go ahead and I just fold my shirt over it just to keep it from moving when I move it over to my press. So because we're layering, like I said, we need to do this in small presses at just a couple of seconds until we hit the last layer. The last layer I'm going to do, I think, is going to be the blue layer. And I like to make sure that my seams are off of my press. Now, I can pull my drawer out to place my shirt on. I just sort of forgot for a second there because I'm so used to not having that feature. But look at how fun that is. That's such a helpful tool to have. So now I've got this. I'm going to press this for just a few seconds. And we're using a firmer pressure. I would call it like medium high pressure, and again we just press for a few seconds. Now, I do find, because I'm using the Starcraft Eco for this because that was like the perfect color for the red and the blue, this is it says it's a hot peel. I don't have a lot of luck with hot peel on it, so I like to cool it down a bit and then peel it. I do like what I would like call like a medium peel on it, where I just let it cool for a bit. I will say layering with this one is a little more difficult, but again, just take your time when you take off your carrier sheet. And you can see everything stays down. It's just kind of, I like to go a little slower with it. So get all this peeled off, and then we're gonna do the America next. So let me grab that part. And it totally dawned on me I can absolutely actually make this in 2 layers because the carrier sheets aren't gonna overlap with the America and the celebrating. So let's go ahead and press this design together, and that'll be fine. So I'm gonna get this where I want it on to my 1776, and you can see that I fold each of these in half. Now again, I can pull the drawer out. I moved you a little bit so you could see the drawer pulled out, but it just makes it so much easier to line everything up if you pull out the drawer. And I just want this to be almost touching the letters, or the numbers, I should say. And I think that looks pretty good. I don't know if I love the way America is sitting. I'm going to just adjust it a little bit. All right, I'm happier with that, I think. Okay, I'm good. So this will be a full press at that 15 seconds for 280 degrees. Once it's done pressing, go ahead and lift. Now I'm using a different HTV for the white, so I am going to peel that one right away. But again, this blue is StarCraft Eco, so I'm going to let that cool for just a minute. You can also cheat and use a piece of wood. I use this block that I made. It's just a cutting board, but it'll pull that heat out of this a little quicker. And you can always, again, pull it away from the press to give it some time to cool down. And then you can go ahead and peel. Now, because these are thin lines, again, I do want to go slow, but I did press this for that full 15 seconds. So we should have no issues with it. And our design is done. I'm going to let it cool down, and then I'll let you guys see what it looks like up close.
I think this SVG from Kittl came out so cute. And don't forget that you can save 25% with a Kittl plan using code Corinne if you want to try them out. I think you'll really like them. There's so much that you can do. You can make SVGs, PNGs, use it for UV-DTF and DTF printing or sublimation. And stay tuned because I'll have some more videos showing you some more skills that you can do with Kittl. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments down below, and be sure to check the description for a link to Kittl. I hope that you all have a wonderful day, and as always, happy crafting.